The phone vibrated once against the wooden table. Just a small buzz. In a room full of Christmas laughter and clinking glasses, it felt strangely loud. I looked down at the screen. The message was from my sister. She was sitting directly across from me. I opened it. "After tonight, you're no longer part of this family. Don't come to Mom's anymore." For a moment, I just stared at the words. Then I slowly lifted my eyes. She was smiling at everyone else around the table like nothing had happened. Her husband Daniel sat beside her, relaxed, confident, one arm hanging over the back of her chair. They both looked comfortable, certain, like a decision had already been made. I locked my phone, placed it gently on the table, picked up my coat, and walked out of the house without saying a single word. No one followed me. Betrayal rarely arrives all at once. It grows quietly. My sister and I used to be close. When we were younger, she followed me everywhere. If someone gave her trouble at school, I handled it. If she needed help, I was there. I was the dependable one, the quiet one who solved problems instead of creating them. Years later, when she married Daniel, I honestly thought she had found someone good. Daniel was polished, confident, the kind of man who knew how to impress. A room in 5 minutes. He worked for a defense contractor and held a security clearance. At family gatherings, he would hint about sensitive projects and classified work. People listened to him with admiration. But I listened differently, because I worked in oversight, and I knew how the system actually worked. The first strange moment came about 6 months before that Christmas dinner. We were having lunch together when Daniel stepped outside to take a call. My sister leaned forward slightly and said, "Daniel says people in your department are pretty replaceable." She smiled when she said it, like she was testing something. I brushed it off at the time. But after that, the comments kept coming. Daniel would ask small questions during dinner. Questions about contract reviews, procurement approvals, audit schedules. They sounded casual. But they weren't questions someone in his position should have been asking. I answered carefully. Then I stopped answering at all. Instead, I started watching. 3 months later, I found the first real clue. It appeared in a routine oversight file at work. A large defense procurement contract had passed through review faster than expected. The numbers were correct, but something about the approval timeline felt off. I checked the bidding companies. One of the names caught my attention immediately. Daniel had mentioned that company before, more than once. I opened the file history. The approval signatures had been edited. Not dramatically, just enough to push the contract through a step earlier than it should have. It was subtle, but subtle mistakes are still mistakes. I didn't say anything. I simply began collecting information. Over the next few weeks, a pattern formed. Daniel had been quietly passing inside information about procurement timelines to that contractor. Information worth millions. He wasn't hacking anything. He was simply nudging the process. A question here, a suggestion there. Enough to give someone an advantage. Enough to violate federal law. Security clearances don't disappear because someone has a suspicion. They disappear when evidence becomes undeniable. So I gathered it. Carefully. Metadata. Approval logs. Communication trails. Every document verified twice. Every timestamp cross-checked. By the time December arrived, the file was complete. Then Christmas dinner happened, and my sister sent that message. "You're no longer part of this family." I sat in my car for a long time after leaving the house. Not angry, just clear. Because at that moment, I realized something simple. They thought I was powerless. They thought the quiet brother who worked behind a desk couldn't do anything. They never bothered to understand what that desk actually did. The next morning, I arrived at the Pentagon before sunrise. The building was quiet. Security check. Badge scan. Long, silent hallways. I sat down at my workstation and opened the investigation file I had built. Every document was there. Every piece of proof organized. I reviewed it one final time. Then I submitted the report directly to the Defense, Counterintelligence and Security Agency. When a clearance holder is suspected of leaking procurement intelligence, the process moves quickly, very quickly. At 10:17 that morning, I received confirmation. Investigation opened. Clearance status suspended pending review. Daniel's system access was terminated immediately. His badge would stop working before lunch. His employer would be notified the same day. Every contract connected to his work would be frozen. Months of quiet work had taken less than 1 minute to activate. My sister called that evening. Again and again. 30 missed calls. Then a message appeared. "What did you do?" I stared at the screen for a moment before replying. I followed the rules. A minute later, she sent another message. Daniel says this is a misunderstanding. I didn't answer that one, because Daniel knew exactly what it wasn't. Investigations take time. Reputations fall faster. Within weeks, Daniel was suspended from his position. The contractor he worked with came under federal review. Lawyers got involved. My sister stopped calling. I heard through relatives that things were getting difficult at their house. Financial stress has a way of revealing truths people try to ignore. People imagine revenge as something loud, something dramatic. But the most effective revenge is quiet, precise. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't even respond to that message at the Christmas table. I simply left. And the next morning, the system handled the rest. My sister told me I wasn't part of the family anymore. Maybe she was right. Because family protects each other. Family doesn't choose corruption over loyalty. So I walked away. And the man she chose lost the one thing he valued more than money: trust. The funny thing about security clearances is this: once they're gone, they almost never come back.